There is a secret so simple, so silent, that it has gone unnoticed for generations. It demands no effort, requires no blind faith, and involves no complex techniques. It lives in your body, and you carry it every single day without even noticing. An ancient gesture, preserved by monks, shamans, and spiritual masters for millennia. A subtle touch of the tongue to the roof of the mouth. That's it. Yet when performed with awareness, it turns you into a channel of energy, peace, and reconnection. It soothes your mind, awakens your spirit, and ignites the divine presence within you. Today you won't just hear about this, you will feel it. And if you allow yourself, you can transform your very existence with this sacred gesture. Now, take a deep breath and write in the comments, "I activate my presence and open the doors to the invisible." This phrase is your first step toward the spiritual activation that begins now. Jacobo Grinberg, the Mexican neuroscientist who devoted his life to investigating human consciousness, may have been one of the first to unite with scientific depth what ancient traditions already knew intuitively. The human body is an energy circuit, and the mind is only one part of the vibrational field that shapes our reality. Grinberg proposed that what we call reality is actually a projection of our perceptual field, a malleable fabric shaped by attention, intention, and vibrational states. But Grinberg was not alone. Taoist monks taught about the microcosmic orbit, an energy circuit activated precisely by the position of the tongue against the roof of the mouth. Vedic masters spoke of mudras and bandhas that connect the body's subtle centers to the divine. Andean shamans taught that the mouth is a portal between worlds. And today, modern neuroscience is beginning to confirm the upper palate is a highly innervated region connected to the vagus nerve, which directly influences the nervous system, emotional state, and even the immune system. We are not talking about empty mysticism. We are talking about a spiritual technology coded in biology, a simple gesture, a hidden key. And now, you are about to understand how to use it. At first glance, resting the tongue against the roof of the mouth may seem like an insignificant gesture. However, when done with intention and presence, it becomes a key to accessing subtle levels of existence. This simple action, when consciously incorporated, acts like a switch that connects internal circuits often dormant, awakening bioelectrical currents capable of altering emotional, mental, and spiritual states. On the physiological level, the tongue resting on the palate completes an energy circuit that runs through two of the main meridians described in traditional Chinese medicine: the conception vessel along the front of the body and the governing vessel along the spine. When the tongue closes this circuit, vital energy, or kuai, begins to flow more freely, releasing tension and activating dormant energy centers. But the practice goes beyond physiology. It invites the practitioner to return to the body, to the present moment, to inner silence. By placing the tongue on the roof of the mouth with awareness, the mind slows down, the breath deepens, and a subtle sense of centering begins to emerge. It is as if the body receives the command to remember itself, returning to a state of energetic alignment with its surroundings. This gesture then becomes a silent reminder of the sacred, a form of embodied presence. It transforms the body into an altar, the mouth into a portal, and the present moment into a living prayer. It is a return to essential simplicity, where nothing external is needed, only the conscious gesture, the calm breath, and the willingness to fully inhabit the now. Perhaps that is why this knowledge has been kept hidden over time. In a world that seeks complex answers and constant distractions, the power of such a subtle gesture may seem implausible until you experience it. And when you do, you will no longer be able to deny it. Something activates, something awakens, and what once seemed invisible begins to pulse with new life. Behind the silent gesture of the tongue resting on the upper palate lies a hidden mechanism that is both physiological and energetic, The palate is not merely an anatomical region, it is a convergence point for nerves, energy channels, and structures sensitive to the body's electromagnetic field. By touching it with the tongue, we activate a key junction, the start of a circuit that connects directly to the vagus nerve, one of the most important conductors of inner harmony. The vagus nerve travels from the brain down to the visceral organs, regulating functions such as heart rate, breathing, digestion, and emotional balance. It acts as a bridge between the sympathetic nervous system, which governs alertness and stress, and the parasympathetic system, which induces calm, healing, and regeneration. By stimulating this nerve through the tongue's contact with the palate, we trigger an immediate response of relaxation, focus, and presence. It is like flipping on the body's internal regeneration mode. This mechanism has been studied by neuroscience and also by ancestral practices that always intuitively understood this connection between mouth, breath, and vital energy. The subtle touch of the tongue activates microchannels that, according to traditional Chinese medicine and yoga, conduct subtle energy, known as nadis or meridians. The closed circuit between the roof of the mouth and the tongue generates a bioelectrical current that runs along the spine, nourishing higher energy centers such as the heart and the pineal gland. But the effects are not limited to the physical body. When this connection is maintained with awareness and deep breathing, subtle perception expands. Many report sensations of warmth in the spine, tingling in the hands, lightness in the mind, and above all, a more intimate connection with something unnameable, a silent, divine, immanent presence. It is at this point that the gesture transcends biology. The tongue becomes an ignition key for the energetic body. The palate, a hidden sanctuary, and the vagus nerve, a conductor of reconnection between human and divine. Regular practice of this subtle bodily awareness can open internal portals that were once locked by ignorance, fear, and disconnection. Over the centuries, various spiritual traditions have preserved, in silence and reverence, the knowledge of the tongue-on-palate gesture, not as superstition or mechanical ritual, but as a living practice understood as an inner technology for connecting with the divine. Although rarely spelled out in sacred texts, this gesture appeared in the details of oral teachings, the movements of initiates, and the codes of ancient spiritual maps. In the Taoist tradition, for example, the gesture is essential for activating the microcosmic orbit, an energy circulation that runs along the body's axis and awakens the vitality of the internal organs, unblocking subtle stagnations. Masters taught the practice in silence only to prepared disciples, understanding that premature use without awareness could cause more dispersion than awakening. Among Vedic yogis, practitioners employed the tongue-on-palate in techniques such as Khechari Mudra, which at advanced stages involved folding the tongue deep into the palate, activating hidden centers linked to intuition and transcendence. The gesture was considered sacred and required purity, preparation, and guidance, for it was said to open the door to the highest states of consciousness. In the deserts of Egypt, early Christian monks kept their tongues pressed against the palate during silent prayer as a way to restrain mental impulses and deepen their contemplative state. It is no accident that many sacred images depict saints with closed lips and serene expressions, the sealed mouth symbolizing inner listening, direct connection with God through bodily silence. Andean shamans also referred to the mouth seal as a practice of protection and energy channeling. In their rituals, mastery of speech mattered less than mastery of presence, and presence, they taught, begins with breath and deepens in the silent gesture of the tongue at rest. This knowledge was not widely shared because it was understood that without proper intention and discernment, the gesture could devolve into an empty technique. Thus, it was kept secret, not out of selfishness, but out of respect. And today, as we reclaim this wisdom, we are invited to apply it with reverence, not as mere curiosity, but as a portal. In a world where the spiritual is often sought outside, in doctrines, symbols, or future promises, we have forgotten where the true journey begins, in the body. And not in an idealized body, but in the real, imperfect body that breathes, feels, and pulses here and now. It is within this body that the most sacred temple resides. And the gesture of the tongue on the upper palate, combined with conscious breathing, is the key to opening its inner doors. When you rest your tongue on the roof of your mouth and pair it with deep breathing, something remarkable happens. The mind, once scattered, begins to slow down. Thoughts lose their urgency. Attention withdraws from the external world and dives into inner territory. And in that space, so long neglected presence is born, not as a concept, but as a direct experience. You are no longer merely living, you are inhabiting yourself. Breathing in this context ceases to be automatic and becomes a bridge. Each inhale is an entry into the now. Each exhale, a surrender to the moment. And the tongue's gesture acts like a seal. It closes dispersion, anchors energy, and grounds the spirit in the body. The result is not merely physical but vibrational. A field forms around you, subtle yet tangible, like a vibration of living silence enveloping your entire being. This state is not an escape, but a return to wholeness, to the awareness that observes without judging, that feels without losing itself, that perceives without identifying. When practiced regularly, this simple ritual of presence transforms the body into a channel. Intuition sharpens, the heart opens, the soul finds space to express itself without noise. And the most astonishing part is that there is no need to look elsewhere. The practice requires no sacred space or special words. Just a few minutes, eyes closed, tongue resting on the palate, conscious breathing and silence. The temple is already there, always has been, waiting only for you to step back inside. It is in this state that true spirituality reveals itself, not as belief, but as lived experience. And once you realize this, you understand that the body is not an obstacle but an instrument, and that the most subtle gesture, when done with presence, is enough to awaken the sacred that lies dormant. For millennia, the ancients practiced in silence what science is only now beginning to confirm. The human body is a bioelectrical circuit capable of transforming mental, emotional, and even spiritual states. And at the heart of this discovery is the interaction between subtle anatomical structures, like the palate, the tongue, and the vagus nerve, and phenomena of self-regulation and expanded consciousness. Recent neuroscience studies reveal that stimulating the vagus nerve triggers physiological responses, ranging from reduced cortisol, the stress hormone, to the release of neurotransmitters associated with well-being, such as serotonin. This nerve, considered the main pathway of the parasympathetic system, functions like an emergency brake for the body, activating states of deep calm and healing. And one of the simplest, most effective ways to stimulate it is by touching the tongue to the roof of the mouth. When this position is held with awareness and slow, deep breathing, micro-impulses travel across the skull and down the spinal cord. It's no coincidence that many meditation practices, even without naming it, include this gesture as part of the centering process. The body, sensing this internal reorganization, responds with reduced activity in the prefrontal cortex, the area tied to mental rumination, and increased coherence among brain regions linked to introspection, empathy, and expanded perception. Moreover, bioelectricity research shows that the human body acts as a dynamic electromagnetic field organized around subtle energy flows. The palate, highly innervated and close to the pineal gland, serves as an interface between electrical impulses and spiritual perception. When the tongue touches this region, it not only closes energy circuits, but also influences the endocrine system and the heart's electromagnetic field. It is at the meeting point of science and spirituality that a new understanding dawns. The ancestral gesture of the tongue on the palate is not mystical by chance. It is functional, measurable, and real. What once seemed esoteric is, in fact, a sophisticated tool for self-regulation and expanded consciousness. And science, by confirming this ancient wisdom, invites us to see the body not as a machine, but as a sacred instrument of perception and transformation. Turning a subtle gesture into a spiritual portal demands more than repetition. It demands intention. The practice of the tongue on the upper palate only reveals its full power when performed as a daily ritual, consciously woven into your routine as a sacred act. It is not the duration that matters, but the quality of presence. The first step is simple. Choose a moment of the day to begin, upon waking, before sleep, or during silent pauses. Sit comfortably with your spine upright, feet grounded, and eyes gently closed. Inhale deeply through your nose, and as you exhale, allow your tongue to rest softly on the roof of your mouth, just behind your upper teeth. Do not force it, simply permit. This is your point of connection. While maintaining this position, turn your attention to your breathing. Inhale to a count of 4, hold for 2, and exhale to a count of 6. This rhythm activates the parasympathetic system, fostering relaxation and presence. In this context, the tongue acts as a seal. It closes the internal energy circuit and anchors your mind in the now. If thoughts arise, observe them, then gently return to your breath and awareness of the gesture. With daily practice, you can expand the experience. Visualize a golden light rising along your spine with each inhale and spreading throughout your body with each exhale. Feel this light as an expression of divine energy coursing within you, awakening the subtlest centers of consciousness. The sensation may be faint at first, a gentle warmth, a tingling, a flash of mental clarity, but over time it becomes a constant presence. This gesture, repeated with intention, creates an energetic field around you. It is like tuning an instrument every day before playing, and the more finely tuned your body and mind, the clearer your soul's melody will resonate. Do not expect immediate results, nor chase extraordinary experiences. The greatest transformation unfolds in the invisible, in stillness, in centering, in the effortless expansion of who you are. This ritual asks not for time, but for decision. And once it becomes a habit, you will not only access your spiritual energy, you will live within it. At that moment, the practice ceases to be an exercise and becomes living presence. Now that you have discovered this ancestral gesture, as subtle as it is powerful, the choice is yours. Wisdom lies not in accumulating information, but in embodying what resonates with the truth of your heart. Today, you have been handed a key, simple, silent, invisible, yet capable of transforming how you inhabit your body, mind, and spirit. From this moment on, experiment, not as someone testing a technique, but as someone entering a sanctuary. Set aside a moment each day to go silent. Rest your tongue on the roof of your mouth. Breathe with intention and simply feel what arises. You do not have to understand everything right away. Just trust the wisdom of your own body. It knows the way back home. If this practice has touched you in any way, share your experience in the comments. Write, "My body is a temple, and my presence is prayer." In doing so, you anchor this new vibration and inspire others to do the same. Subscribe to the channel to continue receiving content like this. Together, we are awakening sacred memories and restoring the link between science, spirit, and presence. Remember, the gesture is simple, but the transformation is profound. The invisible is already at work within you.